What's up, everyone? I'm Carmelo Anthony. And while you may know me as a basketball player, there's a whole lot more I'm ready to talk about. That's why I started What's in Your Glass, a show where we'll sit down for a glass of wine and a conversation with the biggest names in sports, music, media, and entertainment. Listen and follow What's in Your Glass, a presentation of Cadence 13 and Creative 7 with me, Carmelo Anthony, now for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Odyssey, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Tracy Clayton.
And I'm Josh Gwynn, and we're the hosts of Back Issue.
We're back with season 2.
You can remember the name of our show, Back Issue, because we're back for season 2.
And we have issues?
Not wrong. We're going to revisit moments in pop culture we all think we remember and learn what they can teach us about where we are now.
We're going to talk about Whitney Houston, food you used to love, your favorite and forgotten singers of the 90s and the 2000s, and more.
So join Tracy and I with Back Issue Season 2. Listen on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.
I have something in common with the hippos at the Cincinnati Zoo. I know, there's many jokes to be made there, but that's not what I'm talking about. Too late, came out of my mouth. So fine, you can joke all you want. I am in no way insecure about being compared to a hippo. Apparently, hippos love watermelon. The whole thing, not just the fleshy part inside the rind. No, they just eat the whole watermelon. So you guys have got to check out the video that I just shared from the Cincinnati Zoo. I'm actually feeling pretty special because I brought watermelon to work on National Watermelon Day. So please, please, please check out the two hippos who are eating watermelon whole. And not little bitty watermelon. No, big watermelon, just dropping them right into their jaws. It is the coolest thing you will see today. I promise. And if you don't think it's cool, well, then you can send me some type of a snarky tweet about comparing me to hippos. I think it's amazing. And the video itself featuring Fiona. One of the hippos is Fiona. What a great name for a hippo. I love zoos. I can't help it. I love animals. It doesn't matter what kind. Well, it does. I don't like snakes or spiders. Those two, no thank you. I suppose technically they are, in fact, animals. So Fiona, the watermelon-eating hippo, is the star of the show at the Cincinnati Zoo. So check it out on my Twitter, A-Law Radio. As I say, I feel very special because I have watermelon for my show too, though I'm not eating it like that. That's one thing I do not have in common with the hippo. Hello, how are you? Did you have watermelon today? I actually cut up a really juicy half watermelon and then threw the rest of the rind out because I didn't feel like that would be something that would make for a great meal. But I'm not Fiona, and she looks super happy. It's After Hours with Amy Lawrence on CBS Sports Radio. Watching Fiona eat watermelon makes me happy too. And boy, do we not all need a jolt of cuteness, a jolt of hippo eating watermelon. I think we do. We're live from the Rocket Mortgage Studios. When you need an expert to help navigate the home loan process, Rocket can. Now you want watermelon, don't you? Have you ever tried to eat watermelon rind? I'm sure I did when I was a kid. I ate all kinds of things that I shouldn't have, like dirt. Don't tell me you didn't also try dog food. All of you, if you had pets in your home, tried dog food out of curiosity or because you were dared to do so by your wicked siblings. I probably at one point, either on purpose or accidentally, tried watermelon rind. You know, when we're kids, we're not super intelligent, nor do we listen very well. So check out Fiona. I'm telling you, it's worth your time. A-Law Radio. Let me see if I can find a link for our Facebook page because I bet the Cincinnati Zoo has a Facebook page as well. Next week, my entire family is going to the zoo. This is what we do on family vacations because it's Mom's celebration. She will soon be marking a milestone birthday, not next week, but we're fitting in the vacation before she goes back to school. And so with our vacation looming and me as the cruise director, I had to buy all the tickets. I had to set up our tickets in advance for the various activities that we have planned for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And one of the things that we're going to do is go to the zoo because Mom loves the zoo. And this is Mom's special vacation. It's kind of funny. I strong-armed the rest of the family. Initially, some members of the family were not so keen on the zoo. But when you put it to them like this, the birthday girl is very excited about the zoo. Who else is on board? Well, then everybody else just naturally lines up. It's After Hours with Amy Lawrence on CBS Sports Radio and on our Facebook page. And our phone number is 855-212-4227. That's 855-212-4CBS. You know what else I have in my brain? Not just Fiona the hippo, but are you ready? I want a hippopotamus for Christmas. Now it's going to be stuck in your head, too. It's one of my favorite Christmas songs. We'll call it non-traditional. But you all get mad at me every single time that I sing the hippopotamus song. You guys, well, I don't know if you're mad, but you're fake mad or you're pretend mad, where you send me tweets about how you can't get the hippopotamus song out of your head. Fiona is setting the tone for our show. Now I want a pet named Fiona. Probably not a hippopotamus, but the song is priceless. All right, I've given you enough grief, have I not? Now you want watermelon and you can't stop singing. I want a hippopotamus for Christmas. Ooh, I might make James play it. James, do you know the Christmas hippopotamus song?
Yes.
Do you really?
I'm familiar with it.
Okay, good. Because a few years ago, we started playing it as a tradition now on the show, and people get really upset. It's a cute song. They just can't get it out of their heads after we've played it 2 or 3 times leading into our Christmas break. So, yeah, I'm no doubt Christmas in August is a great time to play our hippopotamus song. Fine, I'll stop messing around and I'll be serious. I know producer James is in there looking for the hippopotamus song. I know he is. Just wait, it's going to pop up here any second now. Actually, you should save it for coming out of a break when people least expect it. So we'll give them a couple minutes and they'll forget all about it. Maybe some of them. But those who did forget all about it, we're going to bring them right back into our hippo reality. It's actually not Christmas. It's the dog days of summer, or it's supposed to be lazy, hazy days of summer. And as I've told you many times, the summer is nothing like any summer I've ever been through in my entire life. And that's not just career, it's also personal. I was supposed to have the contractor come to my house today for the first work outside. It did not happen. He called me and said he was running late on his previous project. Could he start on Thursday? Okay, well, I'm used to that now. I've stopped getting my hopes up. My goal is just to have the outside work done before vacation, which I don't even know if that's actually reality. And then to have the inside work done before Labor Day. That's all I ask. I just want my house back in order before football begins. Okay, I digress. Back to Fiona the hippo because it makes me happy. No, back to the dog days of summer. It's supposed to be all about baseball right now, and maybe a little preseason football mixed in. Maybe. Generally, preseason football is still a blip on the horizon, though the first weekend in August is the Hall of Fame game. But I think there's more attention on this preseason because there wasn't a Hall of Fame weekend last summer, and because this football season is supposed to feel more like normal. Now, as we head through the show, I'll explain to you why it's actually not feeling more normal. And if I'm one of the NFL players that just rushed to get a vaccine, and trust me, many of them did, after seeing the protocols that were released by the NFL, by Commissioner Roger Goodell 2 weeks ago, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we've talked about it a couple times. We've noted it. But it's obvious, the mad dash by dozens, if not hundreds of NFL players to get vaccinated so that they did not have to deal with the extensive protocols. But the NFLPA, their own players association, is now pushing for a rule, quote unquote, this regular season that I can imagine will tick off a lot of players and make them think, what the heck? Why did I bother? So we'll get to that. But dog days of summer, post Major League Baseball trade deadline, and we're already seeing some of the acquisitions make an impact. As I watched Max Scherzer pitch and then also listened to it, so I did both. As I watched and listened to Max Scherzer pitch for the Dodgers, his debut in Dodger Blue against the Astros, it was a rude greeting from Houston, let's be honest. A home run by Michael Brantley in the first inning. But then Scherzer settled in. As I watched him, I thought, I wonder if his impact with the Dodgers could potentially be as hefty, as important, as critical as, do you know where I'm going with this? Justin Verlander's acquisition for the Astros in 2017. That was a major move along their road to the World Series win. I would actually say it was more important than the sign-stealing schemes and the banging on trash cans. But I suppose we'll never know. There's no way to quantify banging on trash cans. But Max Scherzer gets out there on the mound, and once he settles in and has that massive Dodger Stadium crowd behind him, 53,000 fans, and thankfully they left their inflatable trash cans at home for the most part. Once he settled in, and once the offense gave him 4 runs in the bottom of the first inning, he was lights freaking out.
Scherzer set chest high. Castro waits. Tucker leads from second, and the pitch. Ball strike 3. Max Scherzer's 9th strikeout of the game. 2 out here in the 7th. Here it comes, and down he goes. Swung on and missed, strike 3. Scherzer strikes out McCormick as Scherzer makes his way to the third base dugout. A long and loud and lusty standing ovation for Max Scherzer. What a Dodger debut.
You think they're happy to see him on the mound in Los Angeles? Yes, considering the injuries to their pitching staff and the fact that it's been a revolving door in that rotation. He is required to take a curtain call after that 10th strikeout. 109 pitches, 7 full innings, 2 runs on 5 hits, and his first Dodgers victory. So Max Scherzer is now 9-4 on the season. And as I say, it helps when you get instant offense in the first inning. Now, the Dodgers haven't always had the offense to support their guys. It's been spotty, especially over this last stretch. Remember, they were shut out by the Astros, and Lance McCullers with several relievers. I think there were 3 relievers behind him in Tuesday's game. But in the bottom of the first, after Scherzer had given up the solo home run, Mookie Betts hits a home run that ties the game. And then Will Smith had a 3-run shot. And for all of them, it was a jolt of excitement. I think also a jolt of confidence for Mookie and the others to have Scherzer on the mound.
That was amazing. You know, I can tell my little girl one day, I play behind Scherzer, and just to see like his intensity, I think it kind of rubs off on everyone and everybody in the stadium as well. And so that was definitely a blessing to be a part of.
Oh, it does. He has earned the reputation of Mad Max, to be sure. It's After Hours here on CBS Sports Radio. I know Scherzer spoke, so at some point we'll have reaction from him. And coming up 45 minutes from now, we will head to Los Angeles because not only did the Dodgers get their first victory with Max Scherzer on the mound, they also made a move for another starting pitcher, a bit of a blast from the past. And, of course, the Lakers have been busy putting together what is, let's just be honest, a very odd lineup. So we'll head to Los Angeles, SoCal, coming up in 45 minutes. So midnight Los Angeles time. And we'll pick apart some of these latest stories coming from not just Dodger Stadium, but Staples Center. In the Bronx, you've had the New York Yankees also go for broke with their trade deadline acquisitions, and what they most wanted was to get some pop from the left side of the plate. Well, so far so good with one of the former Cubs.
Pitch, a fly ball to right center field, and that ball is gone into the bullpen. Anthony Rizzo bangs one into the Yankee bullpen.
So that's a solo home run for Rizzo in the 4th inning of the Yankees game against the Orioles on Wednesday. And his 6th straight game with an RBI has actually never been done before. First new Yankee ever to have 6 RBI in his first 6 games. And lo and behold, with Rizzo, and even a little bit before Rizzo, they've won 7 of 10.
To be able to come in at the trade deadline and just have success right away is very, it's something I'll never take for granted. These last few games, this start, and to be number one at anything for a Yankee is very special. It's very humbling because of the history here and all of the success here.
If you look at the standings, as much as the Rays and Red Sox have set the pace in the American League East, and both the Rays and the Red Sox were winners on Wednesday. So the Red Sox had a victory on the road in the Motor City against Detroit. The Rays edged the Mariners at home. The Yankees, because of this surge, are now within 6 games of the top of the American League East. It's only early August. That is well within their reach if they can put together a couple more surges like this one. But then also checking out the wild card standings, they are within 2 of the second wild card. The way it stands now, of course, the playoffs do not start today or a month from now. They start roughly 2 months from now. But the way that it looks today, both the Rays and the Red Sox would end up in the playoffs. Remember, it's not expanded like it was a year ago, so we're kind of flip-flopping back. But the Yankees are only 2 out behind the A's, who sit in that second wild card spot. The Blue Jays, though, are right on their heels. They're only another game out, as are the Mariners. So it's crowded at the top of the wild card standings, at least now. But it's really impressive what the Yankees have done since the All-Star break. There's definitely been this lift, if you will, a new energy and excitement. Now they have to continue to capitalize. They have to get strong pitching. All around, they've got to find a rhythm because they've been really inconsistent. But Rizzo brings a ton of experience. Think about it. The run to the World Series in 2016 with the Cubs, but also the high expectations and the attention that come with being a member of the Cubs and playing at Wrigley Field.
It's a long season, and the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs are going to come. And I feel like with all the experience of just playing a lot of seasons, has definitely paid off for this moment to just be able to come in here and play at this level at Yankee Stadium on this stage.
10 years in Chicago, and he said he was really emotional when he first got the news. But a pennant race and a wild card race and being part of the Yankees and the Pinstripes, that's worth something. It can change your perspective pretty quickly. Even if you never expected it, even if you don't want to admit it, the Yankees are still an iconic franchise. 855-212-4227. That's our toll-free line. Oh, is it any surprise that Brad Campbell spends a lot of money on his coffee? Wait until you hear him explain. That's probably where he gets his crazy kneecap-biting energy from. We've got the latest on Team USA men's basketball at the Olympics. A game just in the books. We're hoping to get reaction from there. A bunch of NFL training camp reaction. Don't freak out about Joe Burrow because he's just coming back. And of course, this time next week, we will already have played the Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio. Eek! I want a hippopotamus for Christmas. It's National Watermelon Day. I have watermelon. Fiona the hippo has watermelon. Do you have watermelon too? There's still time. Thanks for joining us after hours with Amy Lawrence, CBS Sports Radio.
You are listening to the After Hours Podcast.
2 balls, no strikes. Will Smith with a fly ball to right field. Brantley going back, way back at the wall, and it is gone. Will Smith, a 3-run home run, his 15th. Dodgers 4-1, and we're not finished with the first.
This is After Hours with Amy Lawrence.
Always nice when you get some run support in your first inning of your first game at Dodger Stadium with 53,000 of your closest friends, brand new friends, who are cheering you on. So the Will Smith home run providing the major pop in the first inning, and from that point on, Max Scherzer was in control against the Astros, and so it's Dodgers winning against Houston, and hopefully this is the start of something positive for them because they've gone through a bunch of their own inconsistencies, even as I was talking about the Yankees in that respect, and because they are chasing a very good team in the San Francisco Giants, who also won on Wednesday. This is not going to be an easy fight, really, from here through the rest of the regular season. And there are some other teams in the National League that are starting to gain momentum as well. So it is the dog days, but you cannot waste these opportunities. Charlie Steiner on the Dodgers radio network and last segment, John Sterling on the Yankees radio network. It's After Hours with Amy Lawrence on CBS Sports Radio. We'll head to Los Angeles coming up just after the top of the hour, and we'll let you hear from Max Scherzer before this hour is open. He says it was over. He said it was Clayton Kershaw who encouraged him to step up and take the curtain call. I almost said conference call. I've had way too many of those in the last couple of weeks for a variety of things. New boss, new opportunities, a new podcast, all this stuff. So I've been doing all these conference calls, and do you know, 3 times now, the calls have been on Zoom. I've joined by the phone. No, I'm not doing Zoom calls from my house. No, I'm just not. Anyway, so far, no one has had an issue with it. I've been able to join by the phone on all of those Zoom calls. It's just, when I first wake up in the morning in the afternoon, but it's my morning, and I have to get outside and walk the dog and feed the zoo and blah, 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 blah. It's not necessary for me to jump on a Zoom call. But so far, none of the others on these calls have had any issue with it, and everything has gone well. Thank you for caring. So we'll hear from Max Scherzer, and as I say, to Los Angeles we go at the top of the hour. 855-212-4227. That's our phone number, toll-free line that you can ring us. We'll talk a little football coming up this half hour as well, but I promised you an update on the Olympics and men's basketball. Team USA was down by a point at halftime against Australia. Dante Exum. Remember him? Dante Exum with double figures for the Aussies at the break. Except the third quarter was nothing like the first half. 10 points. That's it. 10 points is all the Aussies could manage in the third quarter. Meanwhile, Kevin Durant found his stride. And we know this. When Kevin Durant is locked in, there is no equal for him. You can limit him potentially, or he can be off and he can miss shots. You can make life tough for him, though there isn't a player other than maybe Rudy Gobert, but he can't really stay with him. There aren't a lot of athletes from other countries who can stay with Kevin Durant. But even in the NBA, where it's the best players in the world, when Durant is locked in, he's close to impossible to stop. He can generally do whatever it is that he wants. We see this all the time. Even going back to that Bucks series in the second round of the NBA playoffs, he has 48 points in a game in which they, of course, came back from a double-figure deficit. And this is with, say, P.J. Tucker and others making life difficult. Giannis taking some turns with him on defense. He's a nightmare. And I mean that in a very complimentary way. He's a headache. He's a matchup nightmare, a total headache for every other country and every other NBA team that needs to try to defend him. And once he found his groove and Devin Booker started hitting some shots, the Americans pulled away. So Durant with 23, already the leading scorer in U.S. Olympic history. No one has more points than he does. Booker, a slow start, but 20 points when it was all said and done. And then Chris Middleton of the world champion Bucks with 11 points off the bench. Into the gold medal game they go. Now coming up, France will take on Slovenia in the other semifinal game at the Olympics. And you know, Luka Doncic is having the time of his life playing for Slovenia in his first Olympics. And so that game starts in about, we'll call it 4.5 hours. So not while we are on the air. But you do know that the United States has advanced to the gold medal game versus either France or Slovenia after taking out Australia. So coming up, we'll hear from Max Scherzer. Also, I feel as though Aaron Rodgers can't stop talking now. He's found his voice. Ooh, isn't that what Tom Brady said about being 44? I found my voice now. Definitely, Aaron Rodgers is enjoying the reaction to everything that he has to share from his very zen place following this offseason. So we're hearing more from him now. It used to be that he was grouchy and he would not respond to a lot of questions, or he would roll his eyes, or he would just be annoyed. Nope, not anymore. He's really happy about talking. Mike McCarthy, Mike Tomlin, both looking forward to the Hall of Fame game, as am I. Do you know? It kicks off at 8 o'clock Canton, Ohio time on Thursday evening. I know it's fake football. It's not real football, but it still looks like football, and I can't wait. On Twitter, A-Law Radio, because Fiona the Hippo loves watermelon. She's the star of the show in Cincinnati.
You are listening to the After Hours Podcast. You're listening to After Hours with Amy Lawrence.
They have sports radio in Dubuque, Iowa. I have no idea.
When I go out, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you.
Apparently, there is sports radio in Dubuque, Iowa. Michael, is that where you're listening?
Yes, I heard you mention our city. I've never called Sports Talk Radio. I'm a huge fan.
How about that? I honest to God have never had a caller from Dubuque, Iowa in my whole life.
But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more.
I'm a newbie. I found your radio show about a week and a half ago. I love it.
You do? Are you hooked?
Oh, big time. I'm in the Pensacola area. This is sort of like a sports wasteland. There's no sports. This is my outlet.
That's always great when we get people to call. We love it.
But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more. The beat of my...
Amy's taking your calls at 855-212-4CBS.
There is so much I want to talk about. There's so much I want to say to you on this edition of the show. Some pretty amazing things that I've seen from the Olympics in the last couple of days that have nothing to do with winning a gold medal. And of course, Fiona the hippo, who eats watermelon whole. If you haven't seen that video, it's awesome. It's from the Cincinnati Zoo in honor of National Watermelon Day. And I did my due diligence. I had watermelon, so I made sure to cut it up. Okay, I'll be honest. I didn't know it was National Watermelon Day until after I cut up my watermelon. But once I did, then I saw Fiona and I felt as though I had met one of my sisters. A kindred spirit in Fiona the hippo. I know, there's so many jokes. It's After Hours with Amy Lawrence, CBS Sports Radio. This portion of the show is sponsored by DoorDash. DoorDash makes back-to-school shopping easy by getting your school essentials delivered to your door. Download the DoorDash app today. Top of the hour, we're going to spend some time in Los Angeles with Michael Duarte of NBC Sports LA after Max Scherzer strikes out 10 Astros in his Dodgers debut. He goes 7 innings, 109 pitches, and earns his first win in a Dodgers victory. And there were 53,000 strong. They gave up on the inflatable trash cans. A little bit of booing, not quite as much, but they really enjoyed serenading one Mad Max.
With everything on the line, the way the crowd was, I mean, that was a high adrenaline start. Coming in here, try not to do too much. Just pitch my game, go out there and do what I can do, and just try to navigate the lineup.
He definitely did that, even though Michael Brantley greeted him so rudely at Dodger Stadium with a solo home run in the first inning. But there was plenty of support. Bottom of the inning, Mookie Betts got that run right back, and then a 3-run shot from Will Smith. And so he had plenty of run support. That gives confidence. But the rest of the guys were feeding off him. Mookie said it wasn't just the atmosphere for Max. It was the atmosphere for the rest of us. And we all appreciated what the fans brought to the table.
That was amazing. In the World Series, I was on the opposite side, and you got the boos, and so now that I'm on the Dodgers side, just to hear them cheering for us is just amazing, and you can't ask for anything more than what these guys are doing for us.
When I first heard that Mookie bite from Sportsnet LA, I thought, wait a minute. They were in the World Series. He was with the Dodgers, and then I realized, 2020. They were not at Dodger Stadium for the World Series. They were at the new ballpark in Arlington, the new Rangers home. And while there were fans, there were some Dodger fans. It wasn't the same experience as Chavez Ravine. And, of course, that's all of it that Mad Max heard on Wednesday night.
The fans tonight, they were great. When the crowd's going nuts like that, you can definitely feed off of it. Mike Max has got a great saying that says that you can pitch with emotions, but you can't be emotional. And, for tonight, I felt like I was really able to, the crowd was definitely into it.
The crowd was. Now, he's one guy who can make a major difference, a major impact on the rotation. But when will they get Dustin May, Clay Kershaw back? We'll ask Michael when he joins us at the top of the hour. Plus, we'll dig into this new look Lakers lineup, almost completely redone. It's After Hours with Amy Lawrence, CBS Sports Radio, 855-212-4227. Have you noticed in water polo, they try to drown each other? No joke. If you see some of the cameras from underneath the water, and I happen to be watching women's water polo right now, Team USA versus not Russia, but the Russian Olympic Committee. It's the largest Olympic committee in the history of Olympic committees. So it's the ROC in the USA versus, I'm so weird tonight, versus the Americans, and it's live on CNBC. First time I've watched CNBC in, 7 years, maybe. And so there are live events going on right now. Men's basketball just wrapped up, but as it did, women's water polo. While they try to drown each other, they're also scoring goals in the pool. It's the Americans versus the Russian Olympic Committee. Devin Booker, 20 points, KD 23, but Devin Booker 20 as the men's basketball team moves on to the gold medal game with a victory over Australia.
A dream come true, man. Something I've been watching for a really long time. A lot of guys have graced these jerseys and put them on, so, we're representing, the United States.
And now one win away from a gold medal. And so it's been really impressive to see these guys come together. You remember in Vegas, there was a lot of consternation over how they looked, but some of these guys were coming from long seasons of their own, and it does take a while to gel. This is not an all-star game where you don't have to play defense and nobody really has to be in sync because all you're doing is setting up one teammate after another for some fancy scoring opportunity. No, this is an actual game against other teams, other countries who have been working their arses off together and very often have had more time to gel as a team. And then I'm really impressed with the fact that you throw Booker, Middleton, and Drew Holiday into the mix hours before Team USA begins its charge to a gold medal. And it's taken them some time, but they definitely have gelled. And you got to give them credit. Along with Coach Popovich, you've got to give them credit for making it work. It's not easy. Oh, rule number one. When Kevin Durant is locked in, give him the damn ball, right? It's After Hours here on CBS Sports Radio. So we also, in addition to having the Olympics wrap up this weekend, we also have the start of the NFL preseason. It never stops. Seriously. I used to love the hashtag sports never stop. And then, of course, in 2020, it became a well, it became one I couldn't use, but it almost became a slap in the face, if you will. And that was just one piece of what was happening in our country and around the world. It wasn't personal, of course, but for months and months, I couldn't say that. And so now I feel weird actually using that hashtag, though it has been one of my favorites forever. But right as the Olympics will wrap up this weekend, well, then we will see the NFL kick into high gear for its preseason. And while the buzz starts out at a minimum, you can feel it start to build over the next couple of weeks. And so Mike McCarthy, Mike Tomlin leading the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers into battle in Canton, Ohio on Thursday evening. It is 8 o'clock local time, at 5 o'clock Pacific.
I'm just excited to play this game and come out of this thing healthy and get the quality work that we anticipate with the Rams on Saturday. So this is a really good stretch for us. I think it'll tell us, give us a better idea where we are.
We're excited about having an opportunity to do it. A game that's obviously very important to our organization, where 5 members of this organization are being inducted. It's an honor for us to participate in it because of that.
Yeah, it's a pretty, historical weekend at the Hall of Fame because they're doing 2 classes. It's something that we don't normally see. There will be, I feel like, at least one induction speech or one inductee that pretty much every football fan on the planet will want to tune in to see. Whether you're a Peyton Manning fan or you're not, you've got linemen, you've got defensive players, you've got offensive players, you've got coaches. How about Bill Cowher going in this weekend? So, of course, really important for the Steelers to be there, right? So it's going to be a celebration weekend. It certainly is going to be a weekend where there are a lot of speeches, a lot of emotions, I would say an extra jolt of joy. These men and women, but men being honored, but also women there and families too, having the opportunity, even if it was delayed by a year, to be able to mark this monumentous occasion. And I suppose that for the NFL, it's a bit of a return to normal, or at least it's supposed to feel that way, right? Maybe some of you have been to a concert already, or you've been to a baseball game. You went to a basketball or hockey playoff game. There's some relief, at least there would be for me, but I've heard this from fans. There's some relief for the fans, but also for the teams and the leagues themselves in knowing that they can now have full capacity crowds. And this fall, in the case of football, will look and feel and sound so much different. If you were watching any NFL Network coverage over the weekend, the network hit the road and had reporters stationed at every single training camp because they were all in session over the weekend. It also had various network sets stationed strategically around the country. Certainly Southern California being one of them, and they were at Cowboys camp in Oxnard. And so as they branded this weekend and this road trip, it was all about being back together. We're back together again. Back together and on the road again. And that's a theme that you're sensing as the NFL launches forward into a preseason that it did not have a year ago. Training camp, yes, though a lot of it was remote. A lot of it was separated. A lot of it was under extreme protocols. And so this particular return to normal for the NFL, it feels even bigger to me because the league, it's the cash cow. It's the golden goose, if you will, of all sports leagues. It's the league every other sports league wants to be like when it grows up, right? The way I feel about football is if this fall if it fits like a familiar pair of slippers or your favorite sweatpants, that to me will be the big relief. Okay. we're back to normal, so to speak. And I know I'm speaking about it from my career perspective, right? Because the NFL drives the bus. And once we get into football season, actually, before we even get to the first round of games, our show becomes so hyper-focused on football. And I'm looking forward to that. I know you look forward to that. We have so many more listeners during football season. We have so much more traffic on our podcast and social media during football season. And so, yes, all of that to me is part of this fall. And there's so much more about this fall than just, hey, we have football games. And I can't really explain it better than to say, for me, this was supposed to be the point at which everything's back on schedule. There are full crowds. It's full speed ahead in the sports business. Except there was a story out there on Wednesday that kind of reminded me it may not actually be the case. And if I'm a player in the NFL who just went through the steps to get vaccinated, one of those hundreds of players who decided to do it after the league noted how separate unvaccinated players would be from their teams this year. Now the NFLPA is recommending to the league that even if you are vaccinated, you have to be tested every day when you enter the team facility. Oy. And we know, of course, that even vaccinated humans, applies to athletes, obviously, can still get COVID, can still not only get infected, but can pass it potentially. Now, there's some data that shows different results. The good thing about being vaccinated is that you are far less likely to get seriously ill and far less likely to need hospitalization or any type of medical treatment, even if you do get infected. But if I'm an NFL player, I'm thinking, what? I just went through all of the steps to get vaccinated. You told me that my life would be back to normal somewhat, and now you're going to reinstitute daily testing? Oh, that sucks. It's After Hours with Amy Lawrence, CBS Sports Radio.
Hey, we're the hosts of Pod Save America. Every week we break down the political news that makes us laugh, cry, and scream into the void with a conversation that's entertaining, informative, and hopefully useful.
We try to be serious without taking ourselves too seriously because we all have to stay in the fight. Democracy is under attack, and there's a whole right-wing machine that's counting on the rest of us to give up and check out, and we can't let them win.
So join us. New episodes of Pod Save America drop Mondays and Thursdays. Listen for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Odyssey, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Odyssey now has hundreds of new exclusive music stations for you to discover your new summer soundtrack.
Get moving with worthy workouts for a cardio sesh fueled by today's top artists.
Hanging with your crew? Throw it back with Picnic Party for old school jams for your cookout.
Or sail away with Odyssey's new yacht rock station, Jugger Yacht.
There are hundreds of new exclusive stations to check out today.
For summer barbecues,
road trips,
or relaxing poolside.
For every mood, every interest, every passion. By Odyssey.
Dealing with adversity and finding ways to unify and overcome it will always be part of our future. The new season of Hope Through History, a documentary podcast presentation from C13 Originals in association with the History Channel, written and narrated by me, John Meacham, features moments in our nation's past when we faced challenges as a country and as a world. Listen and follow Season 2 of Hope Through History, available now wherever you get your podcasts.